In today's video, guys, we'll be comparing the only two LEGO Star Wars TIE Bombers Legos ever made, 20 years apart. Starting off here, we have the 2003 set number 4479 TIE Bomber, 229 pieces, only one minifigure, roughly over 13 cents per piece. And account for inflation right now, it's $48.59 in 2023 money. Next up, we have the 2023 TIE Bomber, set number 75347, 625 pieces, retails for $64.99. Then we got four brand new minifigures. So without further ado, guys, let's get into the comparison of these two amazing sets. All right, so I'm back over here on the table with both sets laid out, and of course I'll start off by going over the instructions and the boxes in case you guys care. So the 2003 one right here, much bigger instruction manual. They actually have to fold it in half to fit it in the box. And you know, these older instructions are a lot harder to kind of follow. If you guys know what I'm talking about, you know, the colors kind of look the same. Actually, it's funny, I just ripped that, so there goes some value. But so we have, you know, dark gray and black looking the same, white and light gray looking the same. Only 18 pages total of building right there, so definitely, you know, kind of a smaller instruction manual, but it's also a third of the pieces. Coming over here, guys, we actually have the brand new instructions, which again, I don't like how these look. I like how the older ones look a lot more, but of course a lot easier to follow. And this one right here has 104 pages of building instructions, so definitely a lot more instructions. Moving on to the boxes, for nostalgia purposes, of course, I think the 2003 one works wonders. You know, I love this box art right here. It has all the information over here, you know, facing the TIE Bomber this way. Back of the box, you know, shows you some of the play features, shows you kind of an alternate build, but they don't give you instructions for it. Show you a few other sets from that year, but overall not too bad of a box art for its time. But of course, I think the newer one subjectively is probably the better box art, you know, art wise and just kind of how they show it, and presentation wise. Of course, 75347, four minifigures. They're on the kind of where they were bombing in episode 5 right there, and of course on the back in episode 6 where the TIE Bomber was seen for like 1 second in the Death Star hangar bay. So yeah, nonetheless, you know, I think you know, the edge probably goes towards the newer stuff, you know, box and instructions wise. But let's move on to the minifigures. All right, so moving on to the minifigures, let's start off with 2003. Of course, only one minifigure, which kind of sucks. I really wish that they would have included at least one more of something, maybe an Imperial officer or a regular stormtrooper. But we have the OG 2003 TIE Pilot right here. Very hard to even see on camera since there's just not a lot of print. You know, this is a classic minifigure, but look, I'll even be the first one to say that retrospectively, this one does not hold up to today's standards. I mean, there's just no print on here. The helmet is literally just two little dots, you know, very little printing on the torso. We have no facial expression, which I don't really mind, but yeah, so nonetheless, there's the one minifigure. Definitely very lackluster, and for paying $30 back then and say close to $50 now for inflation, let alone the aftermarket price of this set. Keep in mind, guys, really quickly, the old TIE Bomber right now goes for about $100 used and about $200 to $250 sealed in the box. So there's some information there. But let's move on to the 2023 minifigures. Of course, a much better TIE Bomber pilot, they actually call it now. So you know, of course, you know, objectively more print, more detail, and I'll be the first one to say, even nostalgia aside, this TIE Bomber pilot is way better. Next up, of course, we have Rae Sloane, which I'll kind of get into a little bit. You guys kind of know my thoughts on her. I think as a minifigure, you know, she's kind of lackluster. I think as a character, it's cool that we see her, but she definitely could have used some dual molded legs or even in her Grand Admiral outfit. But of course, any minifigure more than one in this comparison is definitely worth it. Next up, we have Vader right here, which for me personally was a fantastic little pickup. Has the printed arms right there, the cloth cape, and a brand new head. So you know, again, we're getting on to 3-4 minifigures here compared to only one, and it's even better that all 4 of these minifigures in the 2023 one are actually brand new. And then we have the Gonk Droid here. It's a little kind of throw-in thing. You know, some people don't even consider Gonk Droids minifigures, but nonetheless, so there's the comparison of the minifigures. I think all of us can agree, no matter what, you know, if both these were on the same, you know, playing field, you know, same exact price on the shelf next to each other, you know, the 2023 takes the minifigure category 100% of the time, and that's the truth of it. But let's move on to the actual builds and the mechanisms, which I gotta be honest, you know, my answer is probably going to surprise you guys, but let's get into it. So really quickly before the builds, of course, the 2023 has a little extra side build here, kind of a bombing, a little transport. But yeah, you know, a little extra, you know, 25 pieces here. I arguably think that they probably only put this in there just to bring the piece count above 600, but that's just kind of my opinion. The, of course, 2003 one has no side builds, but there's that. Let's move on to the actual bombers, though. The bombers next to each other after 20 years, you guys would be pretty surprised to actually see they're virtually the exact same size. So actually, if we take it really quickly and we go from the side here, as you guys can tell, you know, the wings are built the exact same proportions. You know, that's pretty cool 20 years later. Of course, if we go this way as well, if we go kind of stack them up, you guys will see the exact same distance from the front to the back. So if we actually take the TIE Bombers like this, you guys can actually tell the 2003 one is 1 stud wider on both sides. So other than that, though, I mean, they're literally the exact same size 20 years apart, which which I gotta be honest, I can't really complain about. You know, of course, I wish the newer stuff was a little bit bigger. That's kind of my preference, but they are going in that 2021 TIE Fighter kind of a scale, which, you know, if they keep it all consistent over the next couple years for all these other TIE Fighters, I can't really complain too much. But I also kind of feel over the years, really it's kind of hard to kind of judge, you know, where a TIE Bomber should be at, since we've never had one in the middle. This is a nice one-to-one kind of upgrade. But moving on, guys, to the front of the thing right here, of course, we have the cockpit on the 2003 one. I'll compare the cockpits. So by lifting up both the cockpits and putting your fighter pilots in there, we can actually close them back down. And the biggest controversy I feel like over the new one is, you know, if we look at the old one right here, it's a little hard to see just on this lighting, and just overall it's kind of a trans black piece, but you guys can actually see the TIE pilot throughout the actual windscreen. But then actually moving on to the 2023 one, if you guys saw my review, the entire front windscreen is actually completely blocked off by a black brick behind it. So, you know, the TIE Bomber pilot is in there, but even in person, you know, there's no way to actually see him in there, which I think fundamentally is pretty, you know, weird for a Lego Star Wars set, especially in this day and age, to not actually have that included, especially when you're looking at more of a kid demographic. You know, they might want to actually see their TIE Bomber pilot in there swooshing around. But that's definitely the biggest knock on the newer one, I think. I think the older one is fundamentally better. Of course, I think the newer build's better, but I think they could have easily used one of those that had a little hinge, you know, on the top, the little bar hinge, and had some other sort of design right here to actually make the new one, you know, work and see the minifigure. But let's move on to some of the bombing mechanisms, which quite frankly, you guys will be surprised. The older one takes the cakewalk, I think. All right, so let's swing the 2003 one over here to the side really quick, and I'll show you guys the bombing mechanism. So it might be a little hard for you guys to truly tell, but basically how you guys do it is there's this little back end right here where you guys pretty much pull out this, which has a little rubber band. So basically if you guys pull this out, you guys will see below, watch kind of below really quick, you guys will see the bombs actually drop out. Just a couple 1x1 trans blue cylinders. So, you know, whatever the bombs are, you know, look, that's kind of subjective. You know, these are good for what they're worth. You know, not anything too crazy, no special prints, no special molds, but so this actually, you know, once you guys pull it out, it actually snaps back into place really nicely. And then basically you guys just take the little hatch up, and then you guys can put all your bombs back inside and then do it again if you guys want. So there's a quick look at that. I think the bombing mechanism on the older one is a lot better than the new one, because if we take a look over here, guys, pretty much how the newer bombing mechanism is. As much as the newer one is on the proper side, we can agree with that, because this is like the bombing pod over here. But you guys will kind of see really quickly how much more lackluster it is. So it's literally just pushing flick fire missiles down, so you guys can kind of tell. You know, you take two right there. That's how they look below it. You actually have to, you know, put them in from underneath. So that's definitely a lot more lackluster. I'm not a fan of that at all. You know, I wish, honestly, if they would have been able to do that 2003 style bombing mechanism on the brand new one, I think the brand new one would have been near perfect. But there's that, guys. Then there's one last thing to kind of compare against these two directly. So I can put these back this way. So the new one actually has the accuracy of, you know, dropping the bombs out of the proper side of the TIE Bomber. I will give them that. But if we look at over here, guys, you know, something this is pretty cool for a Lego set, especially for the kids, and even for myself, I really do like this. So if we actually look in here, we have a missile, or a little, you know, thing, you know, a little launcher shooting out of this side right here. So we open up these flags, and technically you don't even need to open the flags, because see what happens is, let's see, I will show you guys. So I'll put the box right there. Let's actually position camera angles. I'll put the 2003 bomber box there, and realistically, look at this, guy. So you pull back this, and look at that. We have a very high-powered rubber tip missile, you know, shooting out of the front there, which is very fun for anyone. I even have a lot of fun. I love how they used to put these back in, you know, Lego Star Wars sets 10, 15 years ago. But if we look at the other side over here, you know, of course, if we look at the 2023 set, we have nothing here. You can't do anything here. It's literally just a little open hole. You can't put anything in there. Nothing shoots out. But what does shoot out, if we see right here, we have a couple trans green, look at that, a couple trans green 1x1 tiles right there. So very lackluster, not a lot of power there, not a lot of coolness. And then if we look over here, here's kind of a look at both. As you guys can tell, those flags go up, and you guys can just put this right back in there, and then close up the flag. So look, fundamentally, I'll close it off right here, guys, with my quick thoughts. I'll be the first one to say, I think how they should have done this in the perfect combination of these sets was, if we take the 2003 bombing mechanism and that launcher, put it on the new style, that would be a perfect set. Because of course, you know, comparing the old TIE Bomber, we have the blue colorway, black colorway, light gray colorway, compared to the more accurate colorway, of course. That's just how they did TIE Bombers back then. You can't really knock them for the time, but of course 20 years later they've evolved and kind of got more accurate. But that's kind of the truth of it. I think I would be able to live with the windscreen thing differently if the newer one had a better bombing mechanism, and especially that missile. So there's kind of the quick comparison, guys. I'll do one last kind of 360 of both at the exact same time right here, and we'll kind of go from there. I think, of course, the newer back end looks a heck of a lot better right there. And then swinging around on the final side right here and coming back to the front, the bottoms, I'll show you guys the bottoms really quick. You guys can kind of tell. Basically almost built the same. The newer one, of course, has 3 times the pieces, so a lot more little intricate details. And I think, look, one-to-one comparison, the newer one's a lot better. You spend your $65 now. Don't spend $200 on an old sealed one like I did, but I did it for this video. And, this is definitely a fun video, fun little set to compare. I'll definitely put them back up there on my shelf for a little bit. But there's everything, guys, for the actual 2 builds. And without further ado, let's close off the video. Well, guys, that is all for this video. That is the 2003 TIE Bomber versus the 2023 TIE Bomber. And as much as I like the actual play features of the 03 one, I think in every single way, especially price, minifigure-wise, price per piece, detail-wise, accuracy-wise, I think 2023, of course, takes the cake right there. I really would have been interesting to see if there was one kind of middle iteration, maybe a 2012 one. I really would have been kind of curious to see, how much bigger the 2012 one was, what mechanism they used for that. But of course, we only have 2 of them, 20 years apart. I think in every single way right now, we all knew the 2023 one was going to win in basically every single category. Again, I think all day, every day play features go to 2003, but everything else goes to 2023. So that's all, guys, for this video. I had a lot of fun making this video. I actually bought the 2003 TIE Bomber a couple days ago on a whim. I just found it out about an hour away from me. I went at about 10 p.m. went to go buy it for $160 cash. So very funny, at least between just me. My one-to-one comparison is actually I paid $160 for the 2023 TIE Bomber to get it early, with overnight shipping. But then I paid $160 cash for the 2003 TIE Bomber. So literally within 24 hours of each other, I bought both of these models right here, both of the complete sets sealed in the box, built both of them for $160 each. And even just for my pure 160, I mean, sure, look. The 2023 one, of course, is better for that. So, as always, guys, that's all for this video. Be sure to leave your thoughts down below. Which one do you like better out of the 2? Will you guys be picking up the 2023 one, come January 1st, or will you guys save up and actually find a 2003 one and to get that one for your collection? So that's all for this video, guys. Please be sure to check out my 2023 TIE Bomber review from yesterday, and also all my other 2023 set reviews. I got all of them early, the first reviews on YouTube. So, thank you guys all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned. See you guys later. Bye, guys, and stay safe.